Let's tank the Desolate Host in the Tomb of Sargeras on normal and heroic difficulty. Now this fight is all pretty much about your mechanics, splitting your raid team up and dealing with adds. So the first thing you want to note about this fight is that there is a normal phase and a shadow phase, and to transition between these two phases there's little tables on the ground around the outside of the room, and you just click on them and it'll teleport you between the phases. Another thing to note about a heroic is there's an ability called Dissonance, and all this does is all creatures and players periodically inflict 1.1 million shadow damage to all players in the opposing realm within 8 yards. This pretty much just means that you need to separate your groups on the left and right side of the room, and you never really want these players swapping sides. There's certain points in the fight where you're going to need to do that, but it's only got to be 1, maybe 2 players moving. The next important thing you need to know is the Desolate Host won't initially be out in the fight. He comes out when the Engine of Souls reaches 30% health, and then you just want to finish the engine off and the add downstairs, which is a Priestess, and then burn the Desolate Host. So to start with, let's look at the Engine of Souls ability and the top phase. Now the first ability the engine is going to do is called Bone Shards, and this is pretty much its auto attack ability that it's going to be doing on the tank. And all it does is Bone Shards fly out at the target, inflicting 100% weapon damage. This isn't anything really to worry about too much, you don't do that much damage, so just treat it as an auto attack as a tank. Now a more important ability that the Engine of Souls does is called Spear of Anguish, and what this does is it's going to mark a player, and after 6 seconds, the Spear of Anguish inflicts 1.1 million shadow damage to all players within 5 yards. And this is indicated by a big swirly, purpley swirl around the player, I guess. And then it's going to knock their spirit out of the body and then places them into the Shadow Realm. It also then puts a 1.8 million heal absorb on the target struck, which prevents them interacting with the fonts, or the tables as I call them, around the edge of the room. So basically, once they're down, they need to be healed up and get that healing absorb off so they can get back to the assigned side. Now you can immunity Spear of Anguish, and this will stop you going down, so it's a good idea to keep immunity players such as mages and rogues up top. This does help a little bit out with this mechanic if you are struggling, but on heroic it isn't too much of a big deal. The third ability that the engine does is called Collapsing Fissure, and all this does, it's going to leave a puddle on the ground for 1.5 minutes. Players standing within the fissure suffer 900k shadow damage every 1 second. Now you want to be trying to put these fissures around the outside of the room on your side, so we assigned it on the right side, just try to keep them as far away from the centre as possible. And the final ability you need to be aware of is called Tormented Cries, and what this is going to do, it's going to mark a player and blast a cone of tormented magic at the target, inflicting 1.7 million shadow damage. This damage is increased by 300% if the target is already standing within Tormented Cries. Remaining within the Tormented Spirits inflicts 250k shadow damage every 1 second and silences the target. Now with this ability, what you can do is you can actually place it behind the boss, but what you want to do is kind of like put it next to each other and just cover a whole area of the room. You want to try to drop it as far and as close to the wall as you can, but as I just mentioned, you can drop it behind the boss. It is a little tricky, but it is doable. Now there's 2 sets of adds you need to be wary of in the top phase. The first one's the Reanimated Templar, and the second is the Ghastly Bone Warden. Now both these adds will do Bone Cage Armor at 50% health, which needs to be knocked off by the down realm. So you need to place a marker somewhere. We use the purple diamond, and once these adds get the bone armor buff, you need to go over to the marker and tell the players in the down realm to knock it off. We'll go over this ability later on when we talk about the down phase, however. Now for the Reanimated Templar, he also is going to do a Rupturing Slam. Now you can't interrupt this, but you can stun it and delay it a little bit, and what he's going to do is just slam the ground and knock people back around him. It comes out at 90-degree angles to him, and there's 4 of them, so you're going to get one north, south, east and west, pretty much depending where the tank's facing him. And the second ad is just going to cast Grasping Darkness, and what this is going to do is shadow erupts around a target, inflicting 500k shadow damage, and this is going to bounce 3 times to players within 5 yards and increases in damage for each bounce. So you just want to make sure your raids pretty much spread 5 yards apart on the top side when this set is up. Now the only other thing you need to be aware of is if there is no one in the top phase, then the Soul Engine is going to start casting Quietus, and this is pretty much a raid wipe mechanic, so you need to have people up in the top phase at all times. This goes for the bottom phase also. So let's have a look at the Shadow Realm, or the bottom phase as I prefer to call it. Now just like the top realm, you're going to have one main like mini boss before the Desolate Host spawns, and this will be Soul Queen Dejana, and she's going to cast a few spells. The first one's going to be Crush Mind, which is going to blast a player, inflicting 4.4 million shadow damage. The next ability is going to be called Wither, and this is going to leave a dot on a player, causing a player's soul to wither, inflicting 350k shadow damage every 3 seconds for 1 minute. This effect increases damage taken from Wailing Souls by 100%. So these players definitely shouldn't be in the bottom phase when she starts casting Wailing Souls. And what Wailing Souls is a massive AoE ability that every 2 seconds for 1 minute is going to inflict 772k shadow damage to all players within the Spirit Realm. Now for this, what we did is we had all the players leave and we just left the healer and the tank down, tanking the boss, and the healer just kept themselves up and the boss. Now there's many ways to tackle this, we just prefer to do it this way. Other ways to do it is you can use raid CDs, or you can also just have players with Wither leave the realm and keep everyone else down, as this ability doesn't do too much damage, it's just extra healing to consider. And the final ability in this phase is called Soulbind, and what this is going to do is it's going to bind the souls of 2 players together. Each target inflicts 790k shadow damage to all players within 10 yards, every 2 seconds until they move within 5 yards of another bound player in an opposing realm. So basically you just need to have a marker down. We use orange circle, which you should see on the video, and these 2 players with the debuff just ran to this circle, broke the bonds, and then got back in normal positions. Now once again, there's 2 adds in this phase. The first is the Fallen Priestess, which is the more important ad you need to be aware of, and normally you get 2, so what you want to do is you want to mark 1 to kill and interrupt, and the second one you're just going to let free cast. And you do this for the shields that we talked about earlier in the top phase, and what you want to do is there's a marker, and the player up top needs to say when the shields go up, so that the players down below can let this cast go off. And the cast is called Shuttering Scream, and what it's going to do is release a Shattering Scream at a player, inflicting 500k shadow damage every 1.5 seconds for 7.5 seconds. Each hit reduces target's movement speed by 5% for 12 seconds. This effect stacks, and upon reaching 5 stacks, it explodes for 400k shadow damage and removes bone cage armor from all targets within 8 yards. So basically this player needs to watch the debuff, and when it's going to get to 5, they go to the marker where at the top phase the ad should be being tanked. They blow up, they call out they've blown up so the player can up top know that they've broken their armors, and you just need to make sure you're communicating this well, and then the player up top can then move the ads back to the correct side, and then the top ads can finally be killed down. Now the other ad in the bottom phase is called Soul Residue, and these do 2 abilities. The first is called Soul Rot, and what Soul Rot's going to do is it's going to leave behind Soul Rot as it moves. Standing with Soul Rots inflicts 700k shadow damage every 2 seconds and reduces your damage done by 75%. So obviously you need to kill these ads in a timely fashion so they're not leaving too much of this behind, and you also don't want to be standing in Soul Rot on the ground. Now the other ability they're going to do is Soul Eruption, and upon death of these ads they're going to explode and inflict 2 million shadow damage to all players within 5 yards, and they're also going to do a knockback. So just don't be standing near the ads when they die, or you're going to take an extra 2 million shadow damage on top of all the other damage that's going out in the bottom realm. So let's look at the final phase. The final phase begins when the Engine of Souls reaches 30% health and it releases the Desolate Host. Now, the Desolate Host don't have a lot of abilities, but what you really want to be doing is finishing off the Engine of Souls and finishing off the Priestess in the bottom phase. This makes the final phase a lot easier to deal with. So the first ability let's have a quick look at is called Torment, and what this is going to do, it's going to periodically increase the Desolate Host's damage done by 10%, and this effect stacks up. Additionally, if Sundering Doom or Doom Sundering fail to strike any players in either realm, the Desolate Host gains 5 stacks of Torment. So pretty much over time, the boss is going to be hitting harder and harder, and if you fail at the 2 mechanics that it does do, it's going to pretty much just wipe your raid. So the other 2 abilities pretty much are the same thing, but one affects the normal realm and one affects the Shadow realm. The normal realm one's called Sundering Doom, and the Shadow realm's called Doom Sundering. And what these abilities do is it's going to mark an area around the Desolate Host, inflicting 10 million shadow damage to all players within 15 yards. Divide this damage evenly among targets struck in that specific realm. And in addition to this, it's also going to afflict the opposite realm with 21.4 million shadow damage to all the players, and this damage becomes weaker the further away you are from the Desolate Host. So pretty much how you want to handle this is for Sundering Doom, all the top realm want to stack under the boss, and the Shadow realm will spread out and go away from the boss. And for Doom Sundering, everyone in the Shadow realm stacks under the boss, and everyone in the normal realm goes away from the boss. Now you want pretty much stat points for this, it does help out a little bit, but it's not too bad on heroic mode, just get away from the boss. So basically pretty much dancing with the boss. So the first one that it starts with in the phase is the top phase, so everyone at the top starts with it. Tank swap, you run out, you run in. You run out, you run in it. So long as the engine and the Shadow Priestess are both dead, this phase is a joke. You can probably 10-man it if you've got a 30-man raid. It's really easy, the damage ain't all there. just make sure you kill the engine and the priestess, and the fight is pretty much a kill at this point. Anyway guys, that's pretty much it for this guide. Sorry it's taken me a while to get this out. Been really busy with my own guild and work and real life. I'm going to try to get the rest of the guides out this week, hopefully. Got a few days off, so hopefully I get the guides out. Anyway, please like, comment and subscribe and keep supporting me. I do appreciate it. Thanks.